Good morning. I'm Nick Stern with Robert L. Stern Financial Services. Hope you're all doing well and really appreciate you tuning in. It's November. It's my favorite month. Well, not really, but it's my birthday. So I have to like it a little bit. We've had a nice weather-wise so far. Been able to get out there and play some golf, enjoy the nice weather. It is Thanksgiving. That's always a nice holiday. By the time this video gets released, it'll probably be after Thanksgiving. So I'll say happy Thanksgiving, and I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving, even though I'm a little late because I won't see you until after that, most likely. Anyway, jumping right into it. Again, I'm Nick Stern. I'm a certified financial planner here at R.L. Stern Financial Services in Amherst, Massachusetts. Thanks again for tuning in. It's great to see you. What I wanted to talk about for November was student debt, student loans. Many of you probably still have some sort of student debt, and you might be in some high-paying job, low-paying job. Some of you might find it easier to pay the monthly payments. Some not. The first thing that I would recommend, because we've gotten several questions on, well, I have this debt, should I refinance? I have 5 different loans, and each have a different interest rate, some of which are pretty good, some of which are pretty high. What should I do? I can afford to pay these loans monthly, but is there something better, or is there a better way that I can either pay these down or finance them at a lower interest rate? First and foremost, make sure that you have a very good handle on your credit and know it back and forth. If you do not regularly keep track of your credit score, I would highly recommend that you do that. Whether or not it's a free credit source or something that you pay for, that's completely up to you. I don't have any thoughts one way or another. It's really just what's going to work for you and what's going to give you the most accurate and up-to-date information. Just know that if you get a credit score from maybe a credit card that's offering, they might not always be consistent. Different lenders pull from different credit rating sources. They're the main 3. Experian is probably the most well-known. Transfax and TransUnion are the other 2, and it really just depends on the lender on where they're going to be pulling from. So that's first and foremost. The second, I would focus first on the high interest loans. Call the lender and find out basically the minimum requirements for you to either reduce the interest rate. I don't know if I'd reduce the payment, but really focus on the interest rate and see that if there's some way to refinance so that you are paying less in interest and more towards principal. Another thought after that is, if you're starting to progress in the life cycle, which is either moving up in your job, starting your own business. These are just examples, of course. Starting a family, buying a house, moving somewhere. It always seems, or for many, that student loan is kind of that one thing that just remains on your personal balance sheet that either can bog it down or just it's just there and it seems to really not go away. Don't worry, you're not alone. There's plenty of people with quite a bit of student debt. And again, after seeing how you can, at the very least, refinance, then looking at ways to either pay it down quicker. Even if you come into a sum of cash, I would first, before you just instantly go to pay off all debt, and that includes student loan, I would really assess the situation and say, okay, is me paying the student loans on time, is that a hardship for me? If the answer is yes, looking at ways to reduce those payments or so that you can at the very least get out of that hardship would probably be my first recommendation. If the answer is no, and you're a high income earner and you're making all these payments on time, you have enough to meet all your needs, you're able to save money, whether or not it's short-term savings or whether or not it's long-term savings like in your employer-sponsored retirement plan, then at that, if the answer is no again and you meet all those criteria, so to speak, think about if with that lump sum of money there's other ways that you could better utilize it, whether or not it's just literally sitting in cash. That means that you have a nice cash pile, and at some point maybe there's some sort of opportunity that comes up, whether or not it's buying a house, whether or not it's an investment opportunity, whether or not it's just an emergency fund to you. So if you're a person that's just hates debt and can't live with it, then that's one thing. Again, all this is going to be completely dependent on your own personal preferences, your risks, your goals, and what's most important to you. But I would just urge you to assess the situation to make sure it's the best, and also look at the opportunity cost. Again, if the answer was no, where it's not a hardship, maybe you have the ability to pay down at least some of the high interest loans, and then some of the other ones that are lower interest, you can continue to pay on those, and then you can look somewhere else to see if there is a better way, or to have that money, that lump sum of cash, work harder for you. Those are just a couple of suggestions. Those are just some scenarios that we've encountered and some things that we've talked about. Again, completely contingent upon your own personal situation. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. My contact information is at the bottom of the screen. There's no obligation. Always here to help. Thank you so much, and I will see you next month. Take care.